I've never used a dating app because I haven't been single when that was popular. But it is amazing. You can just like throw people's faces away like they're garbage until you pick the one you want to bang.
Right, yeah.
That seems bad.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, Dave, you're saying that objectifying women and just picking the one that you would like to bang is a bad thing.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
It seems
it is a bad thing.
Counterintuitive to a feminist movement.
It does seem counterintuitive. By the way, thanks, feminists, for all the porn. Because now they're feminists like, no, you said body positivity, right? It was about, it was art, something like that.
Empowerment.
Thank you. Now you are less desirable to a lot of men. Let's go through some of the primary gripes that I hear women often complaining about today. And this is now from the feminist movement that have been created, a self-fulfilling prophecy. One, okay, here you go, that women are being sexually objectified. You hear this a lot. This is a problem now, right? And you have the era of Me Too. And again, men need to clean house with Me Too. Right? It's men who need to kick the ass of rapists. Hey, by the way, do you want to know what happened? See how rapists and child molesters do in prison.
Yeah.
Even violent male criminals aren't huge fans, just to be clear. There's a reason Weinstein kept it to himself outside of, Matt Damon.
Well, I think Weinstein's going to have no issue in the rape department.
No. It'll be a rape cornucopia.
Yes, they may beat him daily, though.
Yeah.
Just because, he's a slob.
He is absolutely disgusting.
He's just tough to look at.
So women are sexually objectified. Well, look, I would agree with that. I think that's a problem that we have now that we certainly didn't have back in the 1940s, 50s. I'll say 50s for the sake of argument here. Because a lot of times they say, MAGA means go back to the 1950s, which was racism and sexism. But now they're going, we can't find a man on college. Okay, on college campus. All right. Yeah. Feminists were the feminist movement, okay? And when I am saying this, I'm talking about the feminist leftist movement. And unfortunately, because women value empathy over conflict and resolution in many ways, you know this if you're married, they've allowed feminists to run wild. So I'm not saying all women, but I am saying this is a problem that has been created exclusively in the female community. Feminism lauded the sexual liberation movement. Yeah. This coincided with birth control, right? They said, hey, free sex, right? Free sex, free love. That was the idea. And guess what? You let men off the hook. This didn't come from men. Now, men have always wanted to have sex with as many women as they could because that's the way that they're biologically hardwired, right? For example, look at gay couples. Promiscuity is almost non-existent. Why? Because everyone just says, yes, all the time. Yeah. All the time. It was women who civilized men and said, no, you got to put a ring on it, right? That was how it used to work. A man used to have to court, romance a woman, and then get married, and they would be engaged in a sexually monogamous relationship.
I feel like there was a guy behind the curtain pulling the strings, you want to have sex with everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys are like, oh no, please don't do that.
This is not the penis you're looking for. Yeah, seriously, it's like the topless thing, free the nipple to piss off men. It's like this, women's sexual liberation. I bet you Donald Trump was back oh no, not free sex, stop, gross.
The first motion picture to ever come was like a train. They finally filmed something, and the second one I believe was a naked woman on a tire swing. I'm not even kidding. It's that's how quickly you just go into perversion with any invention that we've ever had. It's like the internet. We're like, hey, this is an amazing way we can communicate with and masturbate.
Yes, yeah.
Second use.
Is that a tire swing? Oh, that would look nice out in old Boo Radley's front yard. Yeah, I could really see how a kid could. Can I put my snatch on it? Is that
let's make porn free?
I was going to say, to be fair, that first movie, it was called Train Coming Into a Station.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Well,
stop it.
There you go.
So there's a little symbolism there.
All right, here's another complaint that we have.
The second one was part 2.
The issue is the stopgap was removed from carnal sexuality. And now a lot of women are upset that, and rightfully so, I agree with you, that a lot of men are this is what's happening, the golden penis syndrome. They're playing the field because they have more options. And an underlying theme here that you will understand is that women have, throughout the decades, tried to increase their value in the romance and in the dating marketplace in ways that they see men add value. But it doesn't add value to a man. What do I mean? Women have said, well, I'm a professional career woman. Well, men don't care. Women say, well, I make a good income. Men don't care. Well, I have a college degree. Men don't care. You value that in a man. A man still values the same things in general, when polled: kindness, being attractive, nurturing, loyal. These are things that are not going, men don't say, does she make a good income? Women see that as valuable because that's the role of protector and provider, whether you want to admit it or not. And so you've tried to increase your value through being more like a man. It's just like having female action stars. Like, well, how about you just have, that's why Queen's Gambit was great. You had the best female chess player. Fantastic. There's no reason that can't happen. Why? Because women can be just as good at chess. Women cannot, you can't beat someone's ass with a high heel. You're going to get your ass kicked, okay, Charlize? So you try to empower women by telling them to be more like men. Yeah. Here you go. Now men aren't all that interested. And that brings me to another point. We hear this a lot, that men will not commit, right? This is a complaint among women. And you know what? It's actually true.
Yeah, we saw it in some of the chat questions. I've been dating somebody for 4 or 5 years, and I'm like, wait, what? That shouldn't happen.
And this is true. Men are not willing to commit. Why? Again, this goes back to point number 1, the sexual revolution, right? And marriage just isn't also seen as a winning proposition. This is something that's important. A lot of people don't understand, too. It's increasing expectations in marriage of men, where men used to be the provider, men used to be the protector, and women would be at home with the children. And now it's also you share all the household duties. Also, you're Mr. Mom at home. And also, if I leave you for any reason, I'm going to take half. This is a part of the feminist revolution. And so men say, well, you know what? That's a risk that I don't really want to take. Women, these laws were changed by women. These ideas were championed by women. Men never wanted it, to be clear. Just like they don't want a woman today who's 35 with a gender studies degree in student debt to be the mother of their children. Turn back now. Here's another one that you see a lot of women now, too, when they look at the dating pool. You can read this in the golden penis syndrome. Men don't make enough money, right? It's really tough. I can't find a man who makes enough money. Well, look, okay, why do you think that is? When feminism pushed the idea, and not only pushed the idea, denigrated the idea of single income households, a stay-at-home mom, they pushed the idea of a dual income household.
Yeah.
It was considered, to feminists, less respectable, to the point where a lot of women decided, I'm going to take pride in your job. Absolutely. But take pride in being a mother, too. Take pride in being a wife, too. Do you not want your husband to take pride in being a good husband, being a faithful husband, being a loving husband? The qualities that you admire in a man? Take pride in being a wife and a mother, not just a career. You can take pride in either or, but generally speaking, not both. You can't have it all. And so when you change this, women, just to be clear, what they're seeing now is a lot of men sort of going into the job pool as women used to. So before the 1960s, women...
Bosom buddies.
Yes. Women used to, a lot of them were teachers. When they say women weren't allowed in the workforce, no, women were teachers. Women made up the majority of nurses, things like assistants, secretaries. Now, why? Not because they weren't qualified, not because men were trying to hold them back. And I'm sure there's some of that, but a big reason was women back then valued flexibility over, say, pay, being a CEO, traveling. Why? Because that would take them away from their kids. And at this point, society and humanity recognize that women are generally happier when they're close with their children and can spend time with their children. As women's share of household duties has consistently gone down, so has their happiness. I am not saying that bitch, you'd be happier if you were cleaning the floor. What I am saying is that as women have started to make more money, as women have been allowed at record rates into STEM fields, whether qualified or not, because many women don't want to enter into these fields, they are becoming less happy because they are realizing that it's not as fulfilling as the lie that feminists sold you. What is fulfilling? Seeing the first smile on your children's face. Having a warm house and home, taking pride. You can still work. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying that as women have increasingly placed a premium on work, they're becoming less happy. It would be just like if, let's take an extreme example, if all men today were stay-at-home dads, they didn't go to work. Guarantee you male suicide would be higher. Guarantee you depression would be higher. Because you know what? That's not what we were designed to do. And it would be a monumental shift.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate the lie that is being sold by the left right now that women, you shouldn't value giving birth. You shouldn't value having a child. You shouldn't value, right? Like my wife and I sat down. My wife is a badass. She's incredibly intelligent. She can do whatever she wants to do. And she's got a really great job. We've sat down and said the most important thing that we will ever do is raise our children well. 30, 40, 50 years ago, we gave up on that. And we are reaping what we have sown, because now you're saying government raise our kids or daycare. And I understand situations arise where you have to go to daycare because mom and dad have to work. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people not valuing raising.
Well, that also, by the way, comes from people who try and blame the government and society. It also comes from increasing expectations with placing a value on material goods and working a job. There are still plenty of families who live in rural areas who have single income households. Yeah. You find these people at church, just to be clear, right? But the problem now is more men because of the idea of dual income households. So, well, I don't need to become a CEO. I don't need to worry about a promotion. I don't need to worry about a pension. I'll just look for more flexibility because they can live, men now, on a lower middle income salary, alone, single, and live like a king. Or this is a challenge too, is what they get married, you have dual income, and at that point they work all day, come home, work all night if they have children because they're also the mother. You split this 50-50, you're splitting work 50-50. It's just not a winning proposition for a lot of men. And a lot of them choose to remain single. That's the thing. Guys are going, you know what? Yeah. I live better by myself if it's going to be a joint income. You know what? I'll just keep my income and live with 3 roommates rather than have to commit and have her take half if I run that risk. Were you about to say? I thought you were about to say something.
I forgot what it was. Oh, no, I was saying now they also have apps.
Right, yeah, they have sex apps.
I don't mean to sound like, I don't mean to date myself, but what I'm trying to say, well, I guess, never mind. But what I'm trying to say is, I've never used a dating app because I haven't been single when that was popular. But it is amazing. You can just throw people's faces away like they're garbage until you pick the one you want to bang.
Right, yeah.
That seems bad.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, Dave, you're saying that objectifying women and just picking the one that you would like to bang is a bad thing.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
It seems
it is a bad thing.
Counterintuitive to a feminist movement.
It does seem counterintuitive. By the way, thanks, feminists, for all the porn. Because now they're feminists like, no, you said body positivity, right? It was about, it was art, something like that.
Empowerment.
Thank you. Now you are less desirable to a lot of men.
Why is Ron Jeremy in jail? Isn't he the king of body positivity?
Yes, he is.
But also, not even that. Now that you have gone out and said, this free your body, let the women, this is empowering to you. Now you have the potential of ending up in a relationship with a man who has seen the very, very best. I'm sorry, porn is absolutely horrific, but airbrushing and just cutting scenes together. You've seen what the best of sex could possibly be, which is completely unattainable. It's not real. And now they go into a relationship where it underperforms. And all of a sudden, the thing that was meant to bring you guys together in a way that nothing else could is a disappointment.
Well, but horrific's a word.
Horrific.
Gerald's the one who started throwing horrific around.
Listen, porn is horrific. That is not my story. Thank God it's
terrific.
not. But
I heard you say terrific.
Nobody took a girl on a first date and was like, listen, I just want to get to the movies, use your feet on me.
Just
put on the strap on.
Yes.
I read it in a children's book.
I read it at the school library.
Oh, yeah, that's what
the best part of that children's book is the kid going, this isn't how I expected it. Let's do something else. Yeah, what are you going to go back to? Riding bikes?
Yeah.
You two going to go fishing?
Yeah, you think after servicing your transgender sister with a strap-on that you can go back to having fun on your fixie?
Yeah, just time to go back and play a little Nintendo.
This is all one big advertisement for this is boring. Pow, pow, Power Wheels. Yeah. Hey.
I didn't know.
Now you're sucking for real.
All right, here's another complaint that you see from women, and it's sort of and by the way, women out there, I would love to hear your comments, but we get these chat feedbacks all the time, and you're seeing liberals writing about these from a different perspective. They just want to come up with a different solution, which is more emasculization. So men are lazy slobs. You see this argument made a lot. Guess what? That's absolutely true in a lot of ways. Men in the 40s, boys, teenagers, were storming the beaches of Normandy. You look at the 1930s, you look at the 1940s, you look at the Greatest Generation, you look at what they were doing. And if they weren't doing that, if there hadn't been a war, they'd be working in the factory lines, or they'd be starting a business anyway, or they'd be out there learning a trade. Even after they had gone to college, if they were so lucky to have gone to university. Nowadays, you're more likely to run into a 30-something-year-old sort of Seth Rogen archetype living with a bunch of roommates in an apartment. It's an actual syndrome called second adolescence. This is what we have right now. And let's ask why. Why did we go from storming the beaches? And I'm not just talking about the draft. Why did we go from the kinds of men, and even lower testosterone levels, by the way, that's a fact historically right now. Men have lower testosterone levels than their grandfather. Why did we make that transition? Could it be because feminists and women, by and large, and this is also not just feminists, you see this with moms and boys a lot. And I know that you don't mean to do it, but women naturally recoil at what a boy actually is. It's very foreign to them sometimes how physical, how violent, how aggressive they are, how assertive. Guess what? These are also the same characteristics that make men leaders in times of war, that make men great CEOs of companies. All the things that you portray as toxic masculinity, I'm not talking about beating women, I'm not talking about objectifying women. I'm talking about someone being assertive in a leadership role with respect and admiration, which is what men have wanted. It's what they've always wanted. It's what would make them most happy today. And instead, you've demonized it and now ask where all the real men have gone to. It's a really stark contrast, and you can see it biochemically in hormone levels.
Yeah.
And it's not just because of BPA in the plastic. And you don't care about that because you just think that's a xenoestrogen, but you want to inject boys with estrogen anyway. So shut up.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, you've also told men that if you hit, I remember the Gillette commercial where a guy saw a pretty girl walking by and he was about to go and try to talk to her, and his buddy was like, no, bro. And I'm like, so now you've even told us, like, we can't even try to get to know you. We can't even try to say, hi, my name's Gerald, like, hey, I've seen you walking here before, or anything like that. Like, guy wasn't making cat calls.
Let me give you an exact example. Okay, what I'm talking about.
The Me Too movement, though, not cut you up, but the Me Too movement did that. It confused dating with rape.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Why do you think guys are afraid to date a lot of the time? It's not even the fault of, in my opinion, women in the workplace. I think it's this entire movement that made men actually scared.
That's a huge component to it
Henry
as well.
Cavill said
and,
that. He said it's scary to date.
And accessible pornography makes it like, well, you know what? I'm not in a rush.
Well, you can retroactively be raped because you regretted having consensual sex with someone.
No, these are two different things.
Insane.
I'm saying women placing priority and a premium on the workplace and really sort of belittling the job of motherhood is what has caused women to be less happy today, statistically, more rates of depression. And what I'm talking about, the separate issue, though, is true. The reason men have also left the dating pool. There are two separate issues, but you're absolutely right. And you know what? This is something else to keep in mind. I'll give you an exact story.
Okay.
Violence is not immoral. Violence is amoral, just like money. Money can be used to, I can go give that to a starving child, I can go give it to my church, or I can go and buy crack.
One time during the war, I visited a prostitute.
One time, yeah.
And my life's been a living hell ever since.
And by prostitute, I mean 9, but it was all at once. So
yes, they were all in Paris.
They loved me long.
What are you,
time.
DK Metcalf?
So, I have a relative, I won't say this person's name, lives in New York. And when you say, I do need it. No, it's not Darren.
Joking.
Okay, so let me finish this story because this is important. Women are going to go, well, we don't want men who are walking around smacking women. No, I'm not saying that. You don't. What you do want, though, is a man who's going to protect you and respect and honor you. And I will say this is a relative of mine who's a Christian and was on a subway in New York. And this man, and he did happen to be of African-American origin. I don't know, could have been from Barbados. That's an entirely racist term. Black. He was harassing somebody on the subway, and this man's wife, this man's wife, my relative, was just looking. And the man looked at her and he said, just if you have kids, I'm going to tell you, he said, yeah, bitch, why don't you come over here and sit on my crotch? Now, that's what we're talking. That is an example of toxic masculinity. That's a man who had no respect for this woman.
Right.
My relative got up and said, what did you say? Big guy, size of my dad, 6'2", 220. Said, what did you say? What did you say? And he started getting up in his face. And then his wife said, no, stop. He said, no, do you want to say that again? And the guy was kind of getting a little bit mouthy. And his wife said, hey, stop. What would Jesus do? I swear to you. And he said, Jesus got off 3 stops ago. I'm about to kick the shit out of this guy. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Are you going to say to me that what my relative did was just as immoral as a man on the subway? So let's clearly differentiate. The problem is you vilified all of it. Yes, of course, it's a tenet of feminism, but also, mothers, be very, very careful when you are raising boys, because I think all boys have at some point been admonished or realize there's just a disconnect where sometimes mothers don't understand that boy behavior is boy behavior. You need to bridle it. You don't want to try and snuff it out. Okay.
Unless you want a train full of men like we saw the other day where this woman gets hit and there's not a good man.
There's not a single good man. So toxic masculinity runs rampant when actual masculinity is not encouraged and taught and fostered.
Yes.
That's the issue there. A real man who is aggressive, who is assertive, who is confident, who is loyal, punches the man hitting a woman in the face, right? Lays his cloak down over a puddle. That's the idea. Why do you think chivalry's dead? That goes back to Dave's point. Why do you think it's dead? Because someone might open a door for you and be accused of being a sexist. Catcalling, No one's supporting catcalling. Hey, you have beautiful eyes. It's not a catcall. And you wonder why the dating pool isn't so great.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is something else, too. Women have changed what they want in men. Men used to want someone like my relative. Men used to want a man who would say, hey, you're beautiful. Men used to want a man who was assertive. Sorry, women used to want a man who was assertive. Well, maybe.
I was confused there for a second. I was like, what?
Then women switch with postmodernism, saying, actually, we want a man who's sensitive and is in touch with his feelings, and more importantly, in touch with our feelings. You don't want a man who's in touch with your feelings. You want a man who listens to your feelings. You don't want a man who understands it from a first-person perspective. Just like you don't want to understand why your man's head is disgusting from a first-person perspective. You want to listen to him.
You don't want this.
You don't want this.
You don't want.
You want to support each other, but you really shouldn't understand it firsthand. And instead, feminists and a lot of women have seen it. It's easier. It's easier to have a house cat. It's easier to have a tamed horse than to have to tame a wild one. But the reward is different. And now you have men who don't defend their wives in subways. Okay?
Well, men naturally want to solve a problem where women, kind of want to talk.
Yes, that's true.
Wow, I just put that in a way that it did not mean to sound as bad as it did.
Thanks, ain't going to make... Now I'm going to be in trouble. No, I understand what you're saying. Women talk about their feelings, whereas men don't.
Yeah. Well, women don't actually want that, though. Their bodies... Trust me, I have a cousin who's a Marine. He's like 6'3", looks like Matt Damon on steroids. And women just will flock to him because of the natural wanting to be with a John Wayne type. You know what I mean? And you see it happen.
These are the weirdest examples. You picked 5'4" Matt Damon and John Wayne, who walked like he was at a full street fair.
John Wayne was all man, son.
Hey,
I'm going to take you out, sonny boy.
Well, you know what I mean. John Wayne was a man.
Like the Frankenstein autoplay Halloween decoration. I don't know.
John Wayne was a man.
I did the mash. I did the monster mash. So,
I mean, he was a little, light in the loafers. But all those.
Yeah. Here's another complaint, too. I got to keep going through this, and thank you for the likes that you guys, because I do want to make sure.
It's almost up to 40.
Let's get a few more.
This is something here women complain about now once they reach a certain point. Well, a lot of men don't want children anymore. That's actually that's actually not true.
I hate you, kid.
It's a Wolfman.
That is way too happy to be abusive.
Yeah, he's like, I got your backpack, you piece of shit.
I'm surprised his hand wasn't like this.
Yeah.
I got you back.
What do you want? Oh, you want Dunkaroos? No, Dunkaroos. Give me that.
That is
my
not
snack
his
pack.
dad.
No. No, here's the thing. Most men don't want kids anymore. That's actually not true. Most men don't want kids with you. That's something that is a really tough pill to swallow. And by the way, because of leftist feminists, this has affected all women. Just so you know. Just so you know. All women, you're saying, not me. Yes, you're affected by it. You may not believe the things that feminists have espoused, but you've allowed them to speak for you and your community for so long that now you have men with no testosterone in their system and transgenders flooding your lesbian dating apps. This is all from you. We didn't have a say in this. So, men don't want children with you. Why? Probably because most women are well into their 30s before they even think about it, and they place a priority on careers at this point. That's not all that interesting to men. Throw in a lifetime of promiscuity on top of it. Guess what? Guys will play the field in college. They don't want to marry a whore. What are you saying, whore? Had sex with lots of people. Clear enough for you? You may say, I'm not a whore. Great. You say that. Men still think you are. They don't want kids with you. Well, you're gonna live with a guy? You're going to have 5, 10, 20 sexual partners, live with a guy before you get married, and then at 36 up and decide that you want to have kids and wonder why he thinks that's a bad bargain? You've given away all your chips.
God, I'm right here.
And here's something else, too. A lot of men think it's signing away their life. Why? Because now a man used to look at the prospect of having kids, okay? And a man used to look at this and say, okay, I have a loyal wife, a wife who probably the woman of my youth, right? High school sweetheart was very common, like your parents. My parents got to know each other very young.
I married my wife.
You married your wife very young, so that you grow up together.
Yeah.
You're close with each other. And then used to be, woman stayed home, took care of the kids. That was her job. And you went, you brought home the bacon, you came home, you played with the kids, you spent some time with them, maybe took them to a game, and then you could recharge for the next day. But now the expectation is somewhere in your 30s, your woman is going to work. It's going to be a dual household income. You're going to work all day as a man. A man feels he's going to work all day, come home, and then have to be Mr. Mom. And he's going, you know what? I'll just stay single, and I don't need that much money. I can get a flex job.
Yeah.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.